everybody, and welcome out to beautiful Spanish Fork, Utah.
The lineup for the visiting Red Devils.
Today, we get to enjoy the matchup between your Spanish Fork Dons Baseball Club and the Springville Red Devils. From Spanish Fork 17, I am Coach T, and I'll be joined in just a bit by Ryan. For the Spanish Fork Dons, they were rolling for just a little bit there, and then went on a little bit of a skid against Springville the last time they matched up. Just a one-game skid. They almost came out on top. Lost them 5-4, and then turned around and won Salem Hills by 1 point. But this is going to be the difficult part of their season. They'll get a little bit of a respite right at the end of their season against Timpview, and they had a difficult stretch early on, but as long as they can hold their ground here, they're going to come out of the region with decent RPI standings. We can take a look at those here. Of course, Maple Mountain leading the RPI rankings, doing just about as good up top as Timpview's doing bad down bottom, and then it's kind of a mix in between with Springville and Spanish Fork neck and neck. So this game today has big implications in the RPI, and will have big implications for seeding towards the end of the season, especially like I mentioned with Spanish Fork taking on Timpview towards the end of the season. And Springville, on the other hand, has Maple Mountain 2 games back-to-back after they face Timpview, so we expect those to be competitive for them. And then the region standings are almost a mirror of what you're looking at right there. Maple Mountain, of course, on top, and Spanish Fork a little bit lower down than the RPIs you'd think would indicate. They're trying to make some moves in the positive direction here, and we'll see what happens today. As number 10 for Springville steps up to bat here in the top of the first. That's Easton Van Sickle. Springville in the pinstripe reds, white on red, and Spanish Fork in the white with red accents. And he'll take that first one down for a strike. And up on the mound for Spanish Fork is Lamson. Caden Lamson, a sophomore. Sometimes we see him over at third base. To say today we're going to see him starting up on the mound. Now has things evened up 1-1, and he's going to get the strike called there, low and outside. And Van Sickle's going to take this one to the shoulder. Not the start that Lamson was looking for Spanish Fork, but sometimes it takes just a second to rein things in. So we're going to get a hit by pitch there, sending Van Sickle over to first, and that's going to bring up Caden Tingy. Number 2 for the Springville squad. And that one's going to come in once again, low and outside. Starting to see a little bit of a pattern here. Making the count 0-1 in favor of Lamson. Well, he's threatening bunt here, and he's going to get a piece of it, but it's going to be fouled back towards the fence here, making the count 0-2. Against Tingy. Tingy, the second baseman for the Springville squad. And Van Sickle, after being hit by the pitch, has a little bit of a lead over there, and this one's going to be popped up hard off the ground. It almost looked like a little bloop infield fly, but it did in fact come right off the turf, and it's going to be popped up, and the play is going to be made over at first for the first out of the inning, advancing over
Now batting
to second
number
base,
4,
Van Sickle.
Didi.
And that's going to bring up number 4, the center fielder for the Springville squad. That's Reed Didi. And he's going to take that first one ball, making the count 1-0. And Lamson will get the call that he likes as he checks back on Van Sickle, who's got a little bit of a lead, and this one will get in there, and he'll check the swing to make it 2-0 against Lamson. Here comes the third pitch with the batter's count. Van Sickle over on second. And that one's going to come in by the waist. Almost got a piece of him, and Didi just went up on the toes like Michael Jackson to avoid getting caught by a piece of that. On deck for Springville is Jack Averett, a senior, as Didi's going to get walked. So a rough start for Lamson, who hit Van Sickle and was able to make the play on Tingy, and then ends up walking Didi with a 4-0 count. We'll see if he can get something going here against number 9 for Springville. Excuse me, looks like I just misspoke a second ago. Instead of Jack Averett, that's going to be Preston Hansen, number 9. And then on deck is number 13.
8, Jack Averett.
Oh, they just corrected me again. It looks like it is number 8. I saw number 8 standing out there, but I had number 9 written down in the notebook here, so it is going to be number 8, Jack Averett. Over on first, you got Didi, and at second, Van Sickle with a really healthy lead, but nothing going there. So here's the 1-0 count. 1 out. Top of the first. Spanish Fork trying to fight their way back into the series and even things out on the season after dropping their first to Springville by a single run. This one's going to get in there inside for ball 2, making the count 2-0 against Averett. And he'll check over to second, and then Lamson gets this one in there. Gets the low and outside, a slot that he's been favoring today to battle his way back into this count, making it 2-2. Here comes the 2-2 pitch, and this one's going to come inside. And it looks like it's going to get a piece of Averett. So now with the bases loaded, that's going to bring up number 13 for this Springville squad, Kaysen Torres. Not a place you want to be in here in the top of the first.
13, Kaysen Torres.
So the cleanup hitter heads on over to first. And it looks like there's going to be a quick little mound meeting to get things settled down. A second for this Spanish Fork squad, who's having a hard time finding their rhythm with Lamson up on the mound. So up to bat, you got Torres, number 13. And on deck, number 17, Hugh Red. And in the hole, the designated hitter, number 7, that's Xander Oakey.
Number 19, Bradley Reed.
So after a little bit of a delay for a mound meeting, here comes the first pitch with 1 out. Here in the top of the first, no scores so far, but the bases are loaded for Springville, who are threatening very early on in this one. And the count is 1-0 in favor of Torres. And he's going to get this one in the inside on a left-handed hitter for strike 1, even up the count 1-1. Bases loaded with Van Sickle leading Averett. And this one's gonna get smacked into the outfield over the second baseman's head, and they're gonna launch the ball back into the pitcher here, but not before we see a score by Van Sickle, who was hit early on in the game. So some of those early on mistakes coming back to haunt Lamson a little, who's still trying to find his rhythm.
Now batting, number 17, Hugh Red, third baseman.
And that'll bring up number 17, Hugh Red. He's a right-handed pitcher, a shortstop, and a third baseman, and today he's going to see if he can bring some of his guys home here, as Lamson is going to hit another batter for Springville, and you got to start to wonder, even early on in this one, how long they're going to keep him in here before going into the pin and trying to find some relief after hitting one, then making the play on the second, but walking in third and then hitting fourth and fifth. We'll see if he can get something going for his squad here with the bases loaded. As Springville takes a hit by pitch 2-point lead here in the top of the first over Spanish Fork. So counts even, 1-1 apiece, 1 out in the inning. Bases loaded. And Spanish Fork's really looking to hold their home here and see if they can defend home field, while Springville on the other side is looking to capitalize on a bases loaded situation with 2 runs already in early on in this game. Springville, who's coming off a pretty healthy win streak with 2 against Cedar Valley, 2 against Salem Hills, and then the 1 against Spanish Fork. And Lamson may have figured something out here as he pumps that one in for a strike, making the count 2-2, all evened up with 1 out in the inning, bases loaded. Out of the last couple of games here with the Cedar Valleys and Salem Hills, Spanish Fork gave Springville their toughest competition, where Springville only came over the top by 1 point with a 5-4 victory. And that one did go to an extra inning. So after having the count evened up 2-2, Lamson is going to walk home another here, and looks like they're going to take a second to talk things over as he gets Red over to first on a walk after the 2-2 count, and that's going to bring up number 23 for Springville. That is Logan Ludvigsen.
Now batting, left fielder number 23, Logan Ludvigsen.
So after taking a second to get his pitcher calmed down, Cloward's going to make his way back behind the plate. And it looks like this one's going to get pumped in there and actually smack Ludvigsen. He's going to take that one at the knee. Lamson just having a really tough time finding his rhythm today. This is very unlike him, and it looks like they're going to probably take a second and figure out what they need to do to get something switched up for Spanish Fork. Looks like they're going to bring out number 2 for this Spanish Fork squad, Jesse Harrison. Jesse Harrison's a junior. He sometimes plays shortstop and second baseman and comes in relief of Lamson. And the tail of the tape for Lamson today, he hit 4, walked 2, and was able to make a play on Tingy, who was up to bat early on in the inning. So just a rough start for Lamson, and you got to wonder, with last game being so crucial and close, and all these games being so crucial and close this late in the season and in region play, if Spanish Fork's going to be able to dig themselves out of this hole and try to make some plays and get some offense generated once they're able to flip over and see the other side of the plate.
Now pitching for the Dons, number 2.
I'm joined now by Ryan, who's going to be taking it away as your play-by-play for the rest of the day. He'll be taking good care of you. Ryan, how you doing?
I am great. My apologies for being late. Traffic got the best of me on my way down, but nonetheless, we are set and ready to go here in the top of the first inning. As Spanish Fork, with the pitching change, they'll look to try to see if they can fight through this. The good news, if you're the Dons, is the fact that if you're going to be down in a big deficit, at least it's early. And I know that's maybe kind of sounds gloom and doom there, Coach T, but you know, you have plenty of time to get back up there and try to chip away at this deficit.
Right, doesn't seem like much consolation at this point if you know that it's early in the game, but you know, like I said, they have the opportunity to flip around, see the other side of the plate, and hopefully get some offense generated as long as they can get out of this inning without any further damage.
Springville with the bases loaded. Here's Brooks Child, the shortstop, standing in, ready to go. The 1-0 pitch on its way. This one gets in there for a called strike, and the count evens up here at 1 ball and 1 strike. 4-0 lead for the Red Devils. They've pushed some runs across here in the early going. Ready to go. The wind and the pitch. Breaking ball that misses for a ball. It's 2-1. Spanish Fork, and they're all white. Springville in the all red. Easy going today. Jesse Harrison on the bump. The 2-1 pitch to Child. Swung on there. He just kind of went a little too far as he tried to hold up, but was not able to. And count evens up. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, this, in a way, kind of feels monumental for Spanish Fork that they take care of business and get the strikeout here.
There's a swing and a miss, strike 3. So Harrison comes in, gets the first batter he faces of the afternoon, and there's 1 away, but now back to the top of the lineup. Here's Easton Van Sickle,
now
the 10th hitter to come to the plate.
Easton Van Sickle,
standing in from the right side. And the first pitch, breaking ball blocked in the dirt, but Trig Cloward able to kind of keep it close by. But ball 1, 1 ball and no strikes. Van Sickle with an RBI opportunity in that leadoff spot for Springville. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Wind and comes home. Again, starting to kind of offer at it, but couldn't hold up. And the count evens up here. 1 ball, 1 strike. 1 out, top of the first.
Van Sickle seems pretty giddy to swing at it after being hit a little bit early on. You think he's trying to get his chance here now to actually swing at something.
Slow breaking ball, like misses for a ball, and it's 2-1. And that's one thing. Hit batters and free passes will typically come back to hurt you. And so far, that seems to be the case for Spanish Fork.
Now that's the same breaking ball we saw the last time that just didn't quite break. It almost catches the top inside.
That one stays high, and the count moves to 3-1. 2 outs, nowhere to put them. Harrison ready, looks in, winds and delivers, and Van Sickle will pop that one up. It's going to go foul down the first baseline. First at bat for Van Sickle reached on a walk. Or sorry, it was, I think, hit by a pitch.
Yeah.
Hit by a pitch in his first plate appearance. His second plate appearance of the ball game. A 4th spot on the board for Springville. Harrison ready to go. Runners take off. The 3-2 pitch is once again fouled away. So the runners will go back to their bases, but they'll be quickly on the move. And this is where a ball in the gap or even a base hit probably gets 2 runs in. Bases full of Red Devils. A 3-2 pitch now on its way, and that is going to be in there, called strike 3, and the Dons get out of it, but not before Springville puts on 4 at the end of a half inning. Springville 4, Spanish Fork will be coming up here momentarily.
In the meantime, we'd like to go ahead and thank all of our sponsors over here at Spanish Fork 17. We'll give a special shout out to Lance Wilson State Farm, the attorneys at law over at the Utah Legal Team, MVP Sports, Two Jacks Pizza, the Spanish Fork Community Network, Edward Jones, that's Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, financial advisors, and Triple T, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. And we can't forget, give us a follow on YouTube at youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17.
Ozzie Smith, a legendary shortstop, is known for his outstanding.
So as we get ready to go here for the bottom of the first inning, the Dons will be coming up. As Spanish Fork looks to Coach T, they really just need to kind of push a run here across, another run here. 4-0 deficit. They have 7 plate appearances still. Plenty of time to get back in a 4-0 deficit.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. This game is far from a lost cause. I wouldn't want to ever write it off that way, but definitely a difficult hole to dig yourself out of. I think the thing for Spanish Fork, like you just mentioned, is just going to be consistency. Some here, some there. You're not going to win it all in just one go, you know. But a strong batting order here. You're leading off with Duvall, and then on deck Warren and in the hole Sorensen. Those are 3 guys that can really get it going for this group. And then down towards the end there, you got Cloward, Pintar, and Lamson. I haven't seen Cloward a bunch this season, but I know that Pintar and Lamson can really get it going, especially Pintar, who's kind of been I shouldn't say surprised, because you see so much good come out of that name for this Spanish Fork team, but Pintar on the season is he's a young guy, and he's leading the team in a lot of crucial categories.
So Boston Duvall, the right fielder, will make his way into the box as we'll get back underway in the bottom of the first inning. Pitching for Springville will be number 22, Logan Sitterud. And he's ready to go on the mound. He has the benefit of a 4-0 lead. Duvall, Warren, and Sorensen coming up. Duvall lays down a bunt down the third baseline. Charging is Red. His throw to first is not going to be in time. And Boston Duvall gets something going with a bunt single.
Well, we know that Duval's quick. I wouldn't be surprised if within 1 or 2 pitches here we see him trying to make his way over to second. The kid's quick, and I think bunts is the play for him as long as he can get it in perfect positioning like he did there.
Nixon
And right there, it was just using the speed once he got it down. But like you said, Coach T, a great location. That was the main part right there for that bunt. Here is Nixon Warren, the center fielder. Stands in, first pitch, swings, and lifts this one into shallow center field. The shortstop, Child, going out, makes the catch for the first out of the inning. And that brings up Jackie Sorensen.
Well, that's a great play by Child, because that's kind of a territory where things can go wrong. I mean, enough air got underneath it. He had time to get over there, but still you have the center fielder coming in, and you have the second baseman and shortstop all backing up trying to make a play. So good for him to call off his team and make the catch there.
So Sorensen stands in from the right side. 1 out, runner at first. Duvall with a pretty good lead. Good secondary lead there as Sorensen takes the pitch low for a ball. For Springville in the outfield, Ludvigsen in left. It's going to be Dede in center, Van Sickle in right. Red and Child on the left side of the infield with Tingy and Torres on the right side as Sorensen sends this one foul. And then behind the plate will be Preston Hansen. That's the defense for you for Springville. We'll get the Spanish Fork defense for you in the top of the second inning. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. Pitch home, and this one over on the outside corner for strike 2, and it's 1-2 here on Jackie Sorensen. Pratt Morley in the on-deck circle, followed by Matei Johnson. The 1-2 pitch. Sitterud ready, comes home the pitch. Curveball, or kind of a breaking pitch. I think it just didn't have a lot of curve on it there. Stays high, and the count moves to 2-2. Sorensen ready to go. In the box, Duvall with his lead. Inches towards second, time called by the hitter. So stepping out of the box there is Sorensen. Now he'll get ready to go back in the box. 4-0 lead for Springville on top of Spanish Fork. They'll throw over. Duvall dives back safely.
Yeah, you got to keep a player like that honest. I mean, Duvall, he always takes pretty generous leads, but he reads the pitcher really well, and like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised to see him take off at any second here.
Pitch comes home. I thought he was going there, but Sorensen swings and misses for strike 3. He kind of got that secondary kind of jump towards second like he might have thought about it, but he holds it first, and there's 2 away. And that brings up Pratt Morley.
The shortstop, number 20, Pratt Morley.
So Morley will stand in from the right side. Here in the bottom of the first, looking to try to keep the inning going. Pitch on its way. That one bounces out of the glove of Hansen for ball 1, and it's 1-0.
You would have thought with all the ways that Duvall's threatening, that would have been the opportunity right there, but nothing going for him over there as he comes back and stands on.
Time called, and Hansen will go have a word here with his right-hander. Maybe just kind of going over the positioning and maybe thinking, hey, there's a chance that, just like you've been saying, that Duvall goes sometime in this count and might just be coming up with their game plan. Springville 4, Spanish Fork looking to try to get on the board. Cleanup hitter, Pratt Morley at the dish. The pitch, Duvall's going, and there's going to be no throw as sliding into second base is Boston Duvall. He stole that one easy. And now a base hit very easily could get the Dons on the board. Outfield playing pretty deep overall. Pitch coming in, and that one missing for a ball. And it's 3-0 the count here on Pratt Morley. Boston Duvall got on with a bunt base hit to third. And then now on second after a stolen base. Gets his lead out at second base as the pitch comes home, and that's low, ball 4, and Pratt Morley's aboard with 2 down. So Spanish Fork maybe trying to see if they can build something here with a couple of runners on base. They'd love to maybe get 1, maybe 2 back
now
after the top of the first inning.
Hitter number 17, Matai Johnson.
Now Matai, we're most familiar seeing him up on the mound, but he can definitely deal some damage on this side of the plate as well.
So Matai Johnson standing in. The first pitch bounces in. A good stop by Hansen behind the plate, and it's 1-0.
Well, like you mentioned just a second ago, these Spanish Fork outfielders, or excuse me, Springville outfielders, they're playing a ways back, so there's a lot of room there as long as you can get over the outstretched mitts of the infield defenders here.
The 1-0 pitch settles in for a strike and evens the count up here at 1-1 on Johnson. As you get to this point of the season, you start to kind of think maybe down the road, playoffs and everything like that when the calendar turns to May. Johnson takes a big cut there, and it's 1-2. So both these teams start to kind of push towards the postseason. Both would enjoy a win in the series and be able to pick up a win today. The pitch on its way, curveball. Johnson pops this one up. Torres gives it a look, but it's well foul.
Yeah, it's just one game, but the implications as far as the RPI goes are pretty heavy on this game. Like you said, if they even up the series with them being just right next to each other, neck and neck in the RPI standings, it holds a lot of weight.
That one swung on and missed, strike 3, and the inning is over. We'll head to the second after a short break. Springville leading Spanish Fork 4-0. You're watching high school baseball on Spanish Fork 17.
MVP Sports knows how you roll. You name the sport and we've got you covered. MVP Sports has all the gear you need to perform at your best. Come see our new location just off 900 North Main Street. You are the MVP at MVP Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike McKell.
I'm Shani Hunter, and we're attorneys at Utah Legal Team.
Utah Legal Team was voted one of the state's top personal injury law firms.
We deliver bigger payouts and faster results.
If you've been injured in a car accident, we can help. Call us for a free consultation.
Start of the top of the second inning here at Nelson Field. Ryan Pickens alongside Coach T as we have a little rivalry baseball today. Springville and Spanish Fork both continuing their playoff push coming in to this afternoon. Springville, though, put up a 4 spot as we take a look at the RPI. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier, but the big question right here, Coach, 15 and 18, you're kind of in that position of potentially getting a home game in the playoffs. And boy, a win today, that could kind of swing some things for either one of these clubs.
Absolutely, and both of these clubs, they're going to be facing up against Timpview in the next little bit here, who's down for this region towards the bottom of the RPI standing. So if they do take care of business there, I mean, Timpview could definitely surprise. Then it's kind of a switch tail for them because Spanish Fork, they head into, they go Orem and then Timpview, and then Springville on the other side, they wrap up with Maple Mountain.
Caden Tingy stands in to lead it off, fouls it back, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike on the Springville second baseman. And the pitch, that one settles in for a called strike. It's 1-2. Different position for Jesse Harrison here, pitching with nobody on the base paths versus coming in bases loaded.
Absolutely, and some people, you know, they do better under the pressure. So far, he's doing pretty good here, though, as that one just misses.
Evens the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. It will be Tingy followed by Didi and Hansen. 2, 3, and 4 due up here for the Red Devils. That one's fouled back.
Tingy, the lone batter that didn't make it over to first, and the whole first section of that order, they made it all the way down to Freeland, the 8-hitter, before they got their second out, and he popped it into the ground and ground out. Play was made over at first.
And Harrison has his 3rd strikeout as he gets Caden Tingy to swing and miss. So a good afternoon for Jesse Harrison. Here's Reed Didi. Didi walked in his first plate appearance, came around to score a run. This is a Springville team that can score runs. They're leading the region in runs scored. As the first pitch settles in for strike 1, it's 0-1. They come in 6-3 and region 7 and 5A. As the pitch comes in, and that one settles in there for a called strike, and it's 0-2 on Reed Didi. The challenge, Coach T, has been Maple Mountains scored 73 runs in region play, only allowed 10. Springville scored 80, but they've allowed 70.
Right.
As that one swung out and missed, and Harrison got strikeout number 4.
Yeah, Springville, there was a little bit of worry for them earlier on in the season as they had a really hard tournament schedule. They went in neutral play 1-5 is a very similar tale to Spanish Fork, who also struggled on neutral sites, and now down the stretch both of them are actually looking like forces to compete with here.
First pitch from Harrison. There's a line drive past the diving second baseman into right field. So Preston Hansen has a single, and Springville has a runner on base with 2 outs. And that brings up Hugh Red. And we're going to have a runner. Bradley Reed, number 19, will run speed up over at first base. As Kaysen Torres will stand in and hit. And that one missing low for a ball. I just realized, looking down my batting order, that I'm off one. So my apologies to everybody at home here. So this is going to be Kaysen Torres. Junior first baseman. Pitch on its way, settles in high for ball 1. Sorry, ball 2, and it's 2-0 on Torres. Hugh Red, the third baseman, is in the on-deck circle.
And Torres, another one of that group that was hit by pitch earlier on with Lamson up on the mound. And we're kind of seeing a different tale here as the runner makes his way over to second.
Stolen base there for the runner.
Well, he came in for Averett. Who was that?
It's number 19. That's Bradley Reed, who is running at second base.
Well, there's a Reed and a Red.
That doesn't get confusing at all. Don't worry. As Torres pops that one up foul.
Trying to see if I have a listed height for Red here, or excuse me, Torres. He looks tall. Ooh.
There's a pop-up into shallow left center field, running over and getting under it. There is Sorensen, and the side is retired. So a big 0 put up there for Spanish Fork. They'll try to see if they can again chip into that lead here a little bit in the bottom of the second inning. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsors here on Spanish Fork 17. We got the Spanish Fork Community Network Internet Team, 2 Jacks Pizza, Utah's legal team, Edwards Jones, financial advisors Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, and Lance Wilson State Farm Insurance. We thank them for making each and every one of our broadcasts throughout our high school sports season possible here on Spanish Fork 17. Our next broadcast comes to you on Friday at 3:30. The Salem Hills Skyhawks and the Maple Mountain Golden Eagles. That should be another good one here on Spanish Fork 17 as the high school sports season quickly wrapping up. It seems like it goes faster and faster every year. And we also want to welcome those watching on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17. You can catch up on many of our live shows, including watching this game and our many other high school sports broadcasts. As we move here to the bottom of the second inning, Spanish Fork, it will be McLean, Cloward, and Dart, 6, 7, and 8 coming up here for them, or for the Dons, I should say. And they'll look to try to see if they can chip into this lead. Really, you got to get a run here and a run there, as Coach T and I have been talking about.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the trick, is just consistency. I mean, they had a little bit of success, and we have seen them generate offense in earlier games, but Duval able to get on base, and then Morley was walked later on with Johnson striking out to wrap things up and strand in the 2. I mean, the nice thing about them is they have a really balanced batting order here. They have just as strong a second half of the order as they do the top half.
You mentioned earlier, and I love the point you brought up in the last half inning about the tournament schedules and early season, because oftentimes you want to be playing your best baseball at the end of the season. As that's ball 1 there to Cody McLean. And when you take a look at that, Coach T, sometimes that means you schedule hard at the beginning of the season, you take some losses compared to playing maybe down a classification or so, as that one is swung on line to center field, sinking fast, but running it down is Didi in center field, and there's one away.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Scheduling plays a big facet in this, but when you got region play, sometimes you're pretty limited on your options. And like I said, Springville has to wrap up against Maple Mountain, which is going to be the hardest opponent in this region and one of the hardest in the state, as they're ranked 3rd in the state right now. So if they can come out of that unscathed, it'd be really miraculous for them, and they definitely look like a contender.
Here's Sammy Dart. Stands in, takes the first pitch away for ball 1. Yeah, that's one thing, too, that is important. When you take a look at the region, the pitch comes in, that one's fouled back. When you have a team like Maple Mountain who's undefeated in region play, they're not just one of the top teams in the region. We talked about them before being one of the top teams in the state. They're coming in number 3, and that's a tough opponent whenever you have that in your region. And unfortunately, you kind of want some of those tougher teams in your region.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and makes your RPI look a little bit better if you have those tougher teams in your region, because if you're playing teams that are really low in the RPIs, it doesn't bump you as much as you'd like late in the season when you're forced to play those region games.
Sammy Dart fouls this one back to the screen, and it's 1-2 on the Spanish Fork first baseman.
Well, it's starting to warm up a little today. It's probably sitting, I'd guess, close to 65 to 70 right now, and clouds in the far sky, but right now everything's bright and sunny.
Pitch misses low, and the count evens up at 2-2. It's that fun time of year where you get maybe 2 or 3 weeks, Coach, where it's not overly warm, it's not cold, it's kind of right in that sweet spot. Yeah,
it snowed last week. I mean, but it is Utah. You know, you ought to be used to the weather. It's changes all the time.
The 2-2 pitch misses low, ball 3, and the count runs full on Sammy Dart. So bottom of the second, 3-2. The count here on Dart. Working from the stretch, the pitch on its way. Dart fouls it back to the screen. So Sitterud sitting really comfortable right now, pitching with the lead. This is really one of the first hitters of the ball game that he's really fell behind. He's done a nice job of staying ahead of hitters. Here's a 3-2 pitch. And Dart swings and hits that one to right field, but it's on a line, and it's caught by Van Sickle, and there's 2 gone. So Spanish Forks put the ball in play, hit it hard. Unfortunately, they've hit it right at people, Coach.
Exactly, and we talked a little bit earlier about how far back some of these outfielders for Springville are playing, and it's seeming like there's a little bit of wisdom to that, because right now Spanish Fork just cannot find that pocket in between the infield and outfield.
So here's Trig Cloward, the catcher, standing in from the right side. The first pitch Breaking ball on the outside corner for ball 1, and it's 1-0. Cloward hitting in the 8th spot today for the Dons. He's done a nice job behind the plate. And the pitch coming in, swung on and missed. And the count evens up at 1-1. He had, Coach, a couple weeks ago, he had on a bunt play, had this diving catch. He just lays out for it and comes up with it. It was a nice play. One of the probably the best I've seen from a catcher at this level. As the 1-1 pitch misses low and away for a ball. It's 2-1.
I wish I would have seen it. Sounds like that was Cloward?
Yeah.
Laying out for that? I mean, obviously, the catcher never gets as much credit as they deserve. They're really the anchor of the team back there. You know, holding them down in a good way, not dragging them down. So, yeah, it's really fun when you see catcher make an athletic play like that.
The 2-2 pitch misses, ball 3, and the count runs full, 3-2. For those that are watching at home, if you missed that play, I'm sure it's on our YouTube page, youtube.com/SpanishFork17. Go back and catch that game between Spanish Fork and Maple Mountain. The pitch is going to be bounced up the middle of the second. T gets there, throws to first in time, and the inning is over. We've played 2 complete here from Nelson Field and Spanish Fork. Springville leading 4-0. You're watching high school baseball on Spanish Fork 17.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Lance Wilson for your personal price plan today.
Top of the 3rd inning on Spanish Fork 17. Ryan Pickens alongside Coach T. We get set and ready to go for the 3rd inning, and right now, a great performance so far from Jesse Harrison in relief. He's come in, he's got 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, Harrison with 4 strikeouts. I mean, things were looking a little bleak for a second there for Spanish Fork, and obviously they were hurt, you know, with Lamson up on the mound, and they made a timely change. And like I said earlier, it just wasn't like Lamson at all, as he hit a few and walked a few and just really couldn't find his rhythm. But I'm sure they're finding the sweet relief in Harrison, who went 4 and done in the second.
In the top of the 3rd
So
inning.
we'll see what Springville does in the top of the 3rd.
Red.
As Hugh Red will lead it off. Playing at 3rd base today, it's Red, Oakey, and then Ludvigsen coming up. And the first pitch in there for a called strike, and it's 0-1. Springville, and they're all red. Spanish Fork, and they're all white. As the pitch comes in, curveball gets in there, called strike 2. And one of the big things, Coach, that Harrison's done well is similar to his counterpart. He's found a way to get ahead of hitters.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's in a great position here to retire him.
Swung on and missed, strike 3. And if my math is correct, and that could be questionable, that's strikeout number 5. So
I have 5 too. It looks like your math looks pretty good from where I stand.
Xander Oakey stands in from the left side here for Springville. If you're just joining us late, the Red Devils put a 4 spot up in the first as that one bounces in for a ball. 1-0. Took advantage of some hit batters, some walks, and then found a way to plate 4 runs.
Well, we've talked about this so many times. Harrison, being a junior, there's so much young talent on the Spanish Fork squad. I mean, they're doing pretty well in region. They're holding their own. Their overall record isn't the best, but I think in the years to come, this team's going to be really tough to beat.
Oakey swings through it there, and it's now 2-1. And that's the thing, every program, Coach, kind of goes through maybe a rebuilding year or a year where, hey, you're playing some younger varsity players, as that one's grounded right to first. Sammy Dart's got it, and there's 2 away. And so that's just something you kind of have to build through a program, but what do you, I mean, is it more reps for guys? I mean, how do you kind of build that and adjust that program to kind of getting it going in the right direction?
Yeah, I think Coach Thorpe, he's recognizing here that there's some opportunities to get pitchers in who maybe aren't seeing the most time, like he did with Lamson and Harrison. And both those guys, they're going to return next year, and they're going to appreciate those reps even on days like this. For Lamson, when he really struggles, he's going to come back next year all that much stronger after learning from these mistakes. And they'll get guys like Johnson in, you know, when they get to playoff time. But right now, get some of these younger guys some reps.
That one's lined to center field. Coming in and making the play is Nixon Warren, and Springville goes down in order 1-2-3 in the third.
And that gives us the opportunity to thank all of our awesome sponsors here at Spanish Fork 17. They are Lance Wilson State Farm, the Utah Legal Team, Attorneys at Law, MVP Sports, Two Jacks Pizza, Edward Jones, that's Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, Triple T, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, and of course our very own Spanish Fork Community Network. We sure do appreciate everything those sponsors contribute to make this programming possible.
Our next broadcast comes to you comes up to this on Friday. Once I get the words together, Salem Hills and Maple Mountain. That one over from Maple Mountain High School, as those two have had some epic battles over the years. Those two have met for the state championship, elimination games, Coach, and it should be another fun one.
Yeah, that's without a doubt. Salem Hills, they were just barely able to come out on top of a Spanish Fork here with a 9-8 win. So that kind of gives you an idea. And I know it doesn't always play exact. You know, you look at teams and you think, they won so-and-so by this much, and this team won so-and-so or lost to so-and-so by that much, so they should be here. It doesn't always come out flush because, you know, every team kind of gives them a different look. But I think that should be a really competitive game because each team right now is giving their absolute best at this point in the season. I mean, they really care about where they come out in the RPI standings, and with the middle of the pack here being so close, it's all head-to-head. You know, it's going to, I think, turn out to be a really good game for Maple Mountain, who has yet to really be surprised by anyone in region play.
Yeah, right now, Orem, Wasatch, Salem Hills, all 5-4. Spanish Fork, it looks like 5-5.
So, I mean, the RPI is really coming down to their outside region play. So,
pitch on its way as Jason Pintar takes first pitch. Ball one. It's 1-0 on Pintar. Pintar, freshman, listed as an infielder and right-handed pitcher. So, more of this young talent that Coach T talked about. You're a talented player if you're playing varsity as a freshman. That one's fouled away. And the count evens up here 1-1.
There's no doubt about it. And the kid's got, I mean, you can't always talk about, you know, genes making a play and things, but he's definitely got a couple of Pintars who came before him, and he's kind of living up to the name right now. And like I said earlier, he's leading the team in a lot of categories. I think one of them, if I'm correct, is on-base percentage. I'm going to have to verify that. But kid doing a lot of good things for this team.
That one misses low and away. Ball two. Ahead in the count here, 2-1 is Pintar. The 2-1 pitch comes home, and Pintar reaches for it and is going to drop it into left field for a base hit. So a nice leadoff single in the third for Pintar, and that flips it to the top of the lineup and Boston Duvall.
Yeah, that's exactly what the bottom of this lineup needed for Spanish Fork going into Duvall, who was able to but the issue is the strategy that worked for him earlier doesn't necessarily work here.
The third baseman, Red, he's playing in on the infield grass. So we'll see what Duvall does, if it's a bunt, a move, or runner, or whether he's going to swing the bat. First pitch on its way, low and outside. No look there, no swing from Duvall for ball one. And that was probably a wise thing there for Boston Duvall not to swing at that one.
There's no doubt about it. I don't think there's nothing going there.
1-0 pitch on its way, and that one settles in on the corner for a strike, and the count evens up here 1-1 on Duvall. He reached on a bunt single back in the first.
Like we talked about earlier, Spanish Fork really needs to find a way to play these pockets, because with the infield defenders here in tight, especially over in the third base area. He is a right-handed hitter, so it's going to be a little bit harder for him to get over to that area. But, you know, with them playing in tight and the outfielders playing out wide, there's a little bit of a pocket there to work with, and that's the pocket that Pintar found just a second ago over center.
Spanish Fork looking to try to get back-to-back base runners for the first time today. The pitch comes in, that one low and away. And the count evens up, 2 balls and 2 strikes on Duvall. Center fielder Nixon Warren on deck. Then you get into the heart of the order for the Dons. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Runner goes, pitches high, the throw down to second is in time, and Pintar is erased from the bases. It was a good throw.
That was a heck of a throw.
There, Hansen behind the plate just kind of got it and just fired it immediately.
Yeah, that was on time, on target, exactly right in the money. You know, that's such a hard thing. You're doubling the distance that the pitcher has to make, and you have to put it almost, you know, there's a little bit more margin of error, but not much if you want to get it there on time.
Should ground chopper over to third, fielded cleanly, the throw in time, and there's 2 gone here in the third.
Well, that was a heck of a play by Red. You really had to extend out to make that play, and just carried over, and right when it looked like things might be trending in a good direction here for Spanish Fork, Springville able to erase it with some good fielding.
Now batting number 8,
as Nixon Warren will stand in. Popped out to shorten his first plate appearance back in the first inning. Sitterud ready to go. Pitch comes home. Breaking ball misses in the dirt. 1-0 the count on Warren. Beautiful day for baseball at Nelson Field. Light, very slight breeze as that one is bounced over to, I believe that's head coach in the third base coach's box. This is kind of weather you want to see for baseball in Utah.
There's no doubt about it. Right as we're flipping the page from April to May, it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm having to keep my arms back from the window here. I'm going to burn pretty quick.
That one's fouled back, and it's 1-2. I was calling the game with Andrew LaRose, the Spanish Fork Maple Mountain game, probably, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. And it was a day kind of similar like this, really nice. And we were walking out to the parking lot. We were both looking at our arms to make sure we didn't get sunburnt too bad. Pitch on its way. That one out low and away for a ball, and it's 2-2. Of course, we're inside in a box, so we're not necessarily out in direct sunlight, but there's still a good amount of sunshine coming in.
Speaking of Andrew, Andrew the Legend LaRose, if you're going to be joining us Friday, he'll be there with me, Coach T, as we bring you that Maple Mountain Salem Hills game.
We'll go 3-2, and I don't know if we're supposed to say anything, but if he's watching, we wish Andrew the best birthday possible today. The 3-2 pitch, that one's bounced over to third base, and again the throw over to first is not going to be handled by the first baseman, and Nixon Warren reaches.
Well, there's a lucky break, or just a break. I don't know if luck had too much to do with it. The throw just wasn't exactly where it needed to be in order to make that play, a little bit in the dirt. So a good break for Warren, but with 2 outs in the inning, we'll see if Spanish Fork's going to have a hard time making anything out of it with the way things have been trending today.
So Jackie Sorensen will stand in with 2 gone. Strikeout victim back in his first plate appearance. Slightly open stance. And the first pitch, he swings, hits that one into left field for a base hit. Nixon Warren's going to try to go to third. The throw from left is going to be cut off by Child at short, and Spanish Fork with runners on the corners with 2 gone.
I think I need to keep my mouth shut. Right as soon as I say it, all of a sudden they heard me up here in the box and said, we got to prove him wrong.
So I think it's the old broadcaster's curse there.
Without a doubt.
There's Pratt Morley. And this is where, Coach, the caught stealing starts to really kind of hurt a little bit if you're Spanish Fork, because you probably would have gotten a run in potentially on that. Obviously you don't know what happens with the ground balls.
Yeah, I don't know if you hold up the runner, but I mean, as they're able to get it again in the pocket there.
There's a base knock for Pratt Morley, and the Dons are on the board.
Yeah, I mean, so it either would have been with Sorensen. There's a chance it could have been with Sorensen, but it definitely would have been there with Morley. So they'd be up, they'd have half the score, or they'd cut the score in half, cut the deficit in half. Whereas here, they're still down 4-1, but they have a runner on second threatening.
So if runners on first and second, 2 down. Here's Matai Johnson. Swings and misses at the first pitch. That's a strike, and it's 0-1. Spanish Fork seems to have kind of changed their approach a little bit here, Coach. It looks like now they're going to more of an aggressive, we're going to swing at the first pitch fastball. And so far, it seems to be working for them here in the bottom of the third. 4-1 lead for Springville. That one's going to be popped up. Question is, will it be playable? And it's fielded by the pitcher. The toss to first in time, and the side is retired. The Dons get one back. We go to the fourth on Spanish Fork 17. You're watching high school baseball.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
Come check out town.
We got this. We got this.
Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
Hi, welcome to Two Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
Top of the fourth inning here at Nelson Field. Springville against Spanish Fork. And some little rivalry baseball for you on a Tuesday afternoon. Great to be with you. Ryan Pickens alongside Coach T. And we talked about it in between during the commercial break, but such a heads-up play there from Logan Sutterud to get that final out of the inning.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, the ball looked like it was going to foul out halfway between home and first, and he just went over and scooped it up right before. It had enough spin on it. I think it would have fouled, but he went over and made the play just in time, and it was called out, which, like you said, heads-up play.
So Brooks Child to lead off the inning here in the first pitch. A breaking ball gets in there for strike one.
Well, we've just seen a lot of good stuff so far by Harrison. He's come in relief of Lamson and really shown us what he can do. Like we talked about, he's still got a little bit of a baseball career ahead of him and shown big things here as he goes up 0-2 in the count.
So it'll be Child, the 9-hole hitter, and then back to the top of the lineup and with Easton Van Sickle and Caden Tingy. The 0-2 pitch, a curveball. It's called strike three, kind of a late strike call, but Harrison has his, I believe that's his 6th strikeout.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You got it. Hit the nail on the head.
And Easton Van Sickle will stand in. He was one of the strikeout victims back in the first inning. As Springville sent, I believe, 10 men to the plate in that first inning. First pitch in there for a called strike.
Well, not only is that 6 strikeouts, but in between those 6 strikeouts, he's had a fly out, a ground out, and only one hitter reach in the meantime. So he's just really, when they do get a piece of it, they're not putting it really into a playable position.
Head here in the count, 0-2 on Van Sickle. The Springville right fielder gets the 0-2 pitch, takes that one high, and it's 1-2. Back in the box. Ready to go. The pitch, high and away, and the count evens up 2 balls and 2 strikes on the leadoff man, Van Sickle. For Spanish Fork, they will play Orem on Thursday and Friday. That one's going to be strikeout number 7 for Harrison.
Oh, he's really on a roll here, and that's back-to-back strikeouts against Van Sickle, who gave him some trouble scoring earlier on after he was hit the second pitch of the game.
Here's Caden Tingy. I believe an 0 for 2 day for Tingy, a ground out and a strikeout. And the first pitch, curveball fouled away, and Harrison is very much getting the ball from the catcher, getting set, and he's ready to go. I mean, you can just tell right now he's in a groove.
Yeah, he's feeling it.
And that's what you want from your pitcher, especially in a position right now where you're trying to come from behind. The pitch on its way from Harrison, and that one missing off the plate, and the count evens up 1-1 on Tingy. The Dons at home they're on the road Thursday at Orem. They'll be back here at Nelson Field on Friday as Tingy swings and misses. And it's 1-2. And they'll close up region play with Timpview next week. And then, boy, regular season's over. That went by very fast.
Yeah, then it'll just be the waiting game to see how the seating looks as he wraps up the inning there. And what an inning for him. My goodness.
Strikes out the side. Harrison's got 8 Ks through about 3 innings of work. With, 3+ as we'll head to the bottom of the 4th inning. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors here on Spanish Fork 17. We got Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, Lance Wilson, State Farm Insurance, Edwards Jones, Financial Advisors, Mike Mendenhall, Tyler Mendenhall, Utah's Legal Team, Spanish Fork Community Network, the Internet Team, and 2 Jacks Pizza, along with our friends at MVP Sports. We want to remind you, our next broadcast is coming up on Friday. It will be a 3:30 start time over at Maple Mountain for Salem Hills and Maple Mountain, a little Region 7 action to kick off the stretch run, the final 3 or 4 games of the region play going on right now.
Well, go ahead. We talked about this just a little bit ago, what it's going to take for Spanish Fork to get back in this game, and one of the things we mentioned is consistency. They here a little, there a little, and so far they're doing really good by working by that game plan, and we've especially seen it from Harrison as he's come in relief. He's been absolutely consistent. Like I said, the balls that hitters do get a piece of haven't really been put into play, so just really impressed with his performance so far.
Yeah, and that's going to be key. And now the challenge is, Coach, is if you're the Spanish Fork Bats, how do you take what you did last inning and keep that going? Because you still need more runs.
There's no doubt about it, and we are going through the middle section of the order here where the Dons did have a little bit of some struggles. So we're going from the same exact spot in the order where in the second they had 2 flyouts back-to-back and a ground out. So I'm sure they're hoping to see a different result here from McLean, Dart, and Cloward.
So McLean takes the first pitch in there for a called strike, and it's 0-1. He lined out to center field back in the second inning. He was one of the few guys, one of multiple players that have hit the ball hard for Spanish Fork, just right at somebody. And there's a bouncer over to short. And the throw pulls the first baseman, Torres, but he applies the tag for the first out.
Yeah, you said it and it happened. He's getting good chunks of the ball. He's just putting it right to where someone happens to be standing. And the trick for him, we'll just be finding those pockets like we've seen Pintar and Warren do.
So here's Dart standing in. He's 0 for 1, lined out to right back in his first plate appearance. He was the second Don that just hit the ball. I mean, it was hard hit, just unfortunately one of those plays where the outfielder had to take 2 steps and just wait for it. He takes the first pitch away for ball 1, 1-0 on Dart. Pitch coming in, and that one misses low, ball 2, 2-0. Spanish Fork needs base runners. That's the biggest thing right now. If they can maybe push together a couple of base runners, get the clutch base hit they need, or try to manufacture some runs to try to chip back into this one. The 2-0 pitch right down the middle for a called strike. Because we've mentioned it, Jesse Harrison's done his part on the hill. 8 strikeouts. I think he's only allowed 1 hit since he came in.
Well, they need base runners, and then they just need to stay consistent like they've been on the defensive side with Harrison, because if they, if things stayed exactly as they were, they could probably manufacture a couple base hits and, a couple runs to get them up to 4. But the trick is, are they going to be able to keep this Springville squad with just 4 runs? It's going to be fun to see.
You have to think Harrison's pitch count has to be maybe getting up there, as the 2-2 pitch misses away, ball 3, and the count runs full on Sammy Dart. Springville has had some action going in their bullpen, and I think they have someone throwing right now, in fact. So Siderud might be nearing his end as Dart pops this one up down the left field line. Giving it a look is a third baseman, Red, but he's going to run out of room, and Dart will get another 3-2 pitch. Trig Cloward on deck, then Jason Pintar. Cloward went and grabbed the bat for Sammy Dart. Dart makes his way back to the box. 3 balls and 2 strikes. The count on Dart. From the stretch. Pitch comes in, that's high, ball 4. Good patience there from Dart, and he's aboard with a 1-out walk.
Yeah, that's a really heads-up play, and we were just talking about a second ago. That's another name that carries a lot of weight here around the Spanish Forklands. Dart. There's a couple of them, but it's that's one thing that kind of divides the players. He sees that one through for a walk, any less of experience or less of an eye, and you're swinging at that one, just trying to stay at bat.
Trig Cloward takes the first pitch in the dirt for ball 1. Grounded out in his only plate appearance of the ball game back in the 2nd inning. From the stretch, Dart gets his lead, kind of inching his way towards second base. The pitch bounced right back to the mound. Pitcher didn't see it, and I think they're going to call foul ball. And Dart will go back to first base. I was looking around, and the way Springville reacted, it didn't look like it was foul, but I think our umpire threw his hands up in the air.
Well, I think that's all right. If I'm Springville, I'm making the play regardless, just in case. You never know. And the worst that can happen is it goes over there towards the dugout if the catch is missed, and, no damage done there.
The 1-1 pitch is going to be bounced to short. Child up with it. He'll throw to second for 1. They'll get the lead runner, but that's all they're going to get. And that will be out number 2. On the fielder's choice for Cloward. And that brings up the 9-hole hitter, Jason Pintar. Pintar a single in the 3rd. Kind of got that Don's rally going. They came around to score a run. Back last inning. 4-1 lead for Springville here in the bottom of the 4th.
Well, the only difference being the last time Pintar was up to bat, it was in the top of the bottom of the inning, with 0 outs on the board. And here he's battling against 2 outs. We'll see how he does under the pressure. Probably pretty good, but I don't want to speak too early here.
We're going to have a speed-up runner over at first base for the Dons. They'll throw over, diving back immediately there is number 13, Rhythm Fagan. A junior outfielder and listed as an outfielder and second baseman on our roster here.
Oh, we've seen Fagan a lot recently, kind of in the middle of the batting order, and hopefully he'll make an impact in a good way for his team here, even without him swinging.
That one there, they throw back over, and Fagan dives back safely. You'll see at the high school level, they'll run often for the catcher, especially with 2 outs, so they can have more time to get the gear on. The pitch misses low in the dirt to Pintar for ball 1. Also sometimes gives you a little bit advantage to get some extra speed on the base pass if you're trying to push a run across. But Cloward, my guess, will probably re-enter the ball game. That one settles in at the knees for a strike and evens the count up 1-1. Cloward probably re-enters in the top of the 5th.
I'd guess so, and especially you mentioned equipment, where it seems like every year, even at the high school level, they just get more and more equipment,
The 1-1 pitch, about ready to come home to Pintar. He pops this one up into right field. Van Sickle coming in, makes the catch, and the side is retired. We'll head to the 5th inning. Springville leading Spanish Fork 4-1. You're watching Spanish Fork Baseball on Spanish Fork 17.
MVP Sports knows how you roll. You name the sport and we've got you covered. MVP Sports has all the gear you need to perform at your best. Come see our new location just off 900 North Main Street. You are the MVP at MVP Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike McKell.
I'm Shani Hunter, and we're attorneys at Utah Legal Team.
Utah Legal Team was voted one of the state's top personal injury law firms.
We deliver bigger payouts and faster results.
If you've been injured in a car accident, we can help. Call us for a free consultation.
Top of the 5th inning at Nelson Field. 4-1 lead for Springville on top of Spanish Fork. Ryan Pickens, Coach T here with you on a nice day for high school baseball. And so far, the difference in the ball game has been Springville's 4 spot in the first.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like all the damage that they were going to do, they've done. You hope for the Spanish Fork squad. At the same time, though, once they get back, and the truth is, we haven't seen much offense generate. We've seen a lot of walks and quite a few, more than we'd like to, hit by pitches, but we haven't seen them really get on base by hitting the ball that much, you know. So if we start to see it, then Spanish Fork may be in trouble, but for now, they're holding their own.
And Springville's been limited offensively to what they've done because of the hard effort by Jesse Harrison. That one skied high on the infield by Reed Deedy, and it's going to drop and fall for a base hit. A very tough play there for, I believe that's
16. That's Pintar.
And that is a tough play on a day like today. You're looking up into the blue sky. Sometimes you just lose it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, it has so much air underneath it. The hang time of that ball was at least, maybe 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And I sure as heck wouldn't have made the play, so I can't hold it against him that bad.
Preston Hansen swings at the first pitch and fouls it back to the screen. No balls and a strike. He has the one hit, I believe, against Harrison. That was a single back in the 2nd inning. Other than that, it has been tough sledding for the Red Devils offense, but Logan Siderud has just answered the call. Here's a runner, takes off, the throwdown's high and away, and getting in there is Reed Deedy with a stolen base. On deck for Springville is Kaysen Torres, the first baseman. We're in the top of the 5th inning, a 4-1 lead for the Red Devils. Scheduled to play 7 here this afternoon. Almost turning to evening, I guess, depending on how you look at it. As the 1-0 pitch the 1-1 pitch misses away, and it's 2-1 on Hansen. I'm more of it's 5 o'clock, it's now evening, it's not nighttime, but it's not afternoon anymore. But
yeah, they used to have a meal for like every hour of the day, and it made it a lot easier because you just say, so I don't want to take away from this excellent hit.
There's a single to center by Hansen, his 2nd of the day, and now runners on the corners with with nobody out, and Springville looks like they might be trying to pull away here from Spanish Fork.
Now you said Hansen. I think I might be
number 13.
Who was? I might be a little confused here. I thought that was number 9.
Running speed up number 19, Bradley Reed.
Just looking at the lineup card here, and I think.
Yeah, I did the same thing earlier on in the game. I said Hansen had to get it all sorted out just a second later.
I have 9 as being Hansen, so I could be wrong. We have a speed up runner, Bradley Reed, over at first base. Just going on what I have.
You're right. I'm looking at the roster now. It's definitely something. I'm not sure how I did it, but I confused that same spot earlier too. So
first pitch, ball 1 there to Kaysen Torres. Hey, it's okay. If you were to see my scorebook, you'd have guys batting in the wrong spot and everything like that. That's the problem when I try to rush through to setting up the scorebook. So no harm, no foul there, Coach. That one's fouled away. And be 1 ball and 1 strike. here on Kaysen Torres. First and third, nobody out. This is the first time since coming in that Harrison's been really been put through any type of pressure.
Yeah, he's going to be tested here, and
Torres swings, lifts this one into left center field. Coming over, Sorensen, he'll make the catch. Tagging and scoring from third base is going to be Didi, and it's 5-1 Red Devils. Sacrifice fly there for Kaysen Torres, and now Hugh Red will stand in. So Red will stand in from the right side. Spanish Fork would love a ground ball up the middle to try to turn two. Just can't say enough about how well Jesse Harrison's pitched today. Runner takes off. The throwdown from Cloward's going to be behind the runner, and it will get into center field. But getting there with the stolen base was Bradley Reed, who was running speed up over at first base, and he's got himself a stolen base.
Once again, we're in the Reed-Red situation with Hugh batting and Reed running.
So the 1-0 pitch on its way is swung on and lifted to left field. Sorensen comes under it. He'll make the grab for the second out of the inning. It's okay. There could be worse ones. Utah Valley, the Wolverines up in Orem, Coach, they have in their lineup a Brody Block and a Nate Bach. And they oftentimes will bat after each other. So I'll hear broadcasters say it's going to be Bach and Block. And so they have a hard time sometimes with that one. So
so it could be worse, is what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what. I guess
worse
that's
than Reed and Red.
There we go.
That's tricky.
Curveball in there is pulled foul by Xander Oki, and it's 0-1. But there are some tough combinations, and that I'll give you, that one's not always the easy with Red and Reed. And it's right now, it's Bradley Reed running on at second base. Springville looking to add to their lead. They put one across already here in the inning. And checking his swing, not able to hold up there, was Oki.
Well, speaking of Utah Valley, how'd their series go against California Baptist? I saw that they were playing, then switch over to the UFC fight, didn't wrap up the game.
1-2 out of 3, so always good there to see that. They'll head off to Texas this week to play UT Arlington. Pitch on its way, settles in on the outside corner, and it's 1-2. BYU is playing Arizona State. Utah, I'm trying to remember where Utah was at. I think they were at home for Kansas, maybe? Might be right. Something like that. Our trip around college baseball here in Utah. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stepping out will be Oki. He'll now get right back in. Just a quick time called there. Harrison ready to go from the stretch. Checks the runner. Comes home. Fastball stays high. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Oki. Top of the 5th inning. 5-1 lead here for Springville. Top of the lineup will be coming up for Spanish Fork in the home half of the 5th inning, as that one misses outside, and Cloward, who came back in behind the plate, quickly popped up like he was going to try to throw to second. Ended up deciding to hold the baseball instead of throw it.
I think that's the smart thing to do here when you're one away from putting this inning down.
The 3-2 pitch to Oki. Low, ball 4, and Oki will draw a free pass. So Springville with 2 runners on base now. And I think we may have,
batting number 23,
it's going to be Logan
Ludvigsen
stepping to the plate. Ludvigsen, believe, has been hit by a pitch and lined out to center field today. And now Spanish Fork looking to try to get out of this with only the 1 run. Springville looking to try to add to their lead. The pitch gets in there, strike 1 on the outer edge. And that kind of high, from here, from my vantage point, Coach, it seems like it's a little high and away, but the umpire's given it so far to the pitchers.
Yeah, it looks high and away, but we're also high and away from where we're sitting in the box, so.
Slow curveball there. This time, Cloward throws to short, and the runner is going to get to third base. He stopped about 5 steps away from the bag to see where the ball was, and the throw, I think, caught Pratt Morley a little off guard, and he did a nice job there just to keep that one on the infield.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. That could have turned into a scoring mistake there.
Runners on the corners. The 1-1 pitch. Runner takes off. The throw down to second is going to be in time to get Oki before Reed is able to score from third. But Springville adds 1. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. It's 5-1 Red Devils. We'll take a moment here on Spanish Fork 17 to thank our sponsors.
We'd like to give a special shout out to Lance Wilson State Farm, the Utah Legal Team, Attorneys at Law, MVP Sports, Two Jacks Pizza, Spanish Fork Community Network, Edward Jones, that's Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, and Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Our next broadcast comes to you Friday afternoon at 3:30 first pitch from Maple Mountain. Skyhawks and Golden Eagles. Always a fun one when those two teams play, especially for Salem Hills. Maple Mountain's probably pretty set where they're going RPI-wise, probably stay in the top 5, depending just how everything goes. But for Salem Hills, for both the teams in our game here, Coach, they're looking to try to improve some playoff position.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And not only top 5 in their division RPI, but state RPI as well. Right now they're at number 3 in the state and just looking to continue to improve on that record. As you see right there on your screens at home, Maple Mountain with .73 RPI, and not too far down, Spanish Fork kind of finding their way back into this. And like I mentioned earlier, just the big implications on this game with them and Springville being so close, where Springville goes into a very difficult stretch where they have 2 games against Maple Mountain, who's way ahead and beyond the rest. So this could really be an opportunity for them to kind of inch up over Springville, and depending on what happens for Wasatch, you never know. This could be a totally different look for them coming into the end of these regular season RPIs.
Boy, in Timpview, I mean, they're kind of wanting to play spoiler, I'm sure, down the stretch. So if you're Spanish Fork, probably can't overlook Timpview next week.
There's no doubt about it. I mentioned the disparity in the RPI between them and Maple Mountain at the beginning, but some teams, they got nothing to lose, so they play like it too. They're going to come out swinging for the fences.
Boston Duvall stands in 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Takes the first pitch low for ball 1. A bunt base hit and a ground out for the Spanish Fork right fielder. Ready to go. In the box, the 1-0 is going to be grounded up the middle. Diving is Child. A nice play. Can he make the throw in time? And he does. And there's one away.
Oh, what a play by Child. I mean, to recover off the ground like that, first off, to make a play on the ball, that's one thing, but then to be able to get your feet under you and make the play over there, that's absolutely heads-up play by Child.
At this level, that's tough to be able to dive, get to your feet quick enough, make a good throw, and Boston Duvall runs well.
There's no doubt about it. We mentioned that earlier. He leads the team in stolen bases, and he's a quick guy, so to be able to make a play like that, can't give enough credit to the kid.
Here's Nixon Warren. Takes the first pitch low. He reached on an error and popped out to short in his 2 plate appearances today. But did come around to score the lone run for Spanish Fork. So he'd like to try to see if he can get something going here with 1 away. Ahead in the count, 1-0. The pitch low for ball 2, and it's 2-0. After Warren, it will be Jackie Sorensen. Then you start getting into the meat of that order for Spanish Fork. Ready to go. And the pitch. Inside, ball 3. It's 3 balls and no strikes on Warren. Still some action in the Springville bullpen. I'm blocked by a tree, so I can't see who it is. But there's definitely a Red Devil throwing. As a 3-0 pitch, I believe Warren taking all the way. That one in there for a called strike, and it's 3-1. Warren back in the box. From the stretch, the pitch. Outside, ball 4, and Nixon Warren's aboard for the second time this afternoon.
That's going to be just for Spanish Fork right now, every little thing that they can get, because they're down by 4, but at the end of the day, that's just, a score and a half per inning or a grand slam in one. You never know how it's going to come. What they absolutely can't do is let anything go on the other side of the plate. We'll see how that goes in just a moment here, as they're going to have a little mound meeting to get things squared away. Siderud, who really has had a good day, just been very consistent, had 1 run scored against him, but down to the bottom of the 3rd.
And I don't have the benefits of being able to see pitch count and things like that, Coach, but you have to think he's probably nearing the end of the line here, and he's pitched well, as Jackie Sorensen will stand in. Springville's had someone throwing for at least the last inning or so. So probably just a matter of time, as Sorensen 1 for 2 today stands in, a single in his last at bat in the 3rd.
Yeah, we'll see who the fresh arm is. Like you said, there's a tree over there for now, but we might figure out in just a second.
Pitch on its way, bounces in, ball 1, good stop by Hansen behind the dish, and it's 1-0. Running over at first base is Nixon Warren. He walked just a hitter ago. 1 away, bottom of the 5th inning. Pitch on its way in there, and the count evens up at 1-1 on Sorensen. Infield up the middle, double play depth for Springville. They're definitely looking here to try to get a ground ball. The 1-1 pitch. Sorensen lines that one foul down the left field line, and it's 1-2 on Sorensen. Pratt Morley on deck if the inning should continue. He's reached in both his plate appearances in the ball game. Here's the pitch on its way. Sorensen swings and misses, strike 3. So out number 2 here in the 5th inning. And it was Siderud who had a couple of strikeouts back in the 1st inning, but other than that, that's, I think, his first strikeout since the 1st.
It's been a while, yeah. There's been a lot of ground outs, a lot of flyouts. They found ways to get it done in other methods, but yeah, he hasn't struck out for quite a while, so I bet that feels pretty good for him, especially like you mentioned, as he might be wrapping up his appearance for the day.
Pratt Morley walked in the 1st, had a base hit in the 3rd. Standing in from the right side. From the stretch, looking in. Pitch on its way, low and inside for a ball.
Well, Spanish Fork drawing in quite a healthy crowd today with these late season RPI implications, these playoff implications, all these people, these loyals out here baking in the sun.
Have some umbrellas out for people trying to keep out of the sun, as that one is grounded foul down the 3rd baseline. We're not at the table anymore in the booth. We're kind of moved back a little bit even.
I was starting to notice it on my arms here a little, so now I'm going to give my legs a turn in this second. I'll be back down in the chair again, my arms again. Should have brought some sunblock. You just don't really think about it, You're coming up here into this booth. Everything's nice and cool in here, but there's a big window for viewing purposes.
Pitch bounces in for a ball, and it's 2-1 the count right now on Pratt Morley. Start to see pitchers start to warm up. You never know if are they warming up for the varsity game? Are they getting ready for, I believe, the JV games after this one? As that one's put in play into right center field. And that is going to be ran down by Dede in right center field, and the inning is over. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll head to the 6th inning. Springville leading Spanish Fork 5-1. You're watching high school baseball, Spanish Fork 17.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Lance Wilson for your personal price plan today.
Top of the 6th inning at Nelson Field in Spanish Fork. Springville leading the Dons 5-1. Ryan Pickens alongside Coach T with you. And as we get into the late innings right now, opportunities for the Dons to try to make a comeback, Coach, starting to kind of run a little slim.
Yeah, it's starting to look that way. I mean, they're still only down 4, and like we mentioned just a second ago, that could come in the form of a grand slam. But we talked about earlier, they have to start generating some offense and just be consistent throughout the game. And on the defensive side, they've been really consistent with a lone damage coming in. 4 points, sorry, not the lone damage, but four runs being scored in the first, and then outside of that, just 1 run scored. So they've been solid on the defensive side of the plate. They're just having a really hard time getting anything going on the offensive side.
Ludvigsen back in the box. He was the hitter on the caught stealing to end the inning. Takes the first pitch, strike 1. So he'll get back up in the box. It should be Ludvigsen, Child, and then Van Sickle, 8, 9, and 1.
Although the order was mixed up a little bit, but the top should be about the same.
And that's going to be a base hit from Ludvigsen, and that will bring up Brooks Child, the shortstop, who made a nice diving play last inning, and now we'll see what he can do with the bat. But I think we may have someone come in and run. It looks like Kyler Hughes, number 11, is going to run speed up here for Ludvigsen.
And running number 11, Kyler Hughes.
So Child 0 for 2 with the bat today, a pair of strikeouts, but has made a couple of nice solid defensive plays to help his team out.
Yeah, there's more ways to hurt or help than just over here at the bat, we all well know. And he's definitely, we talked about that play earlier, just a really impressive athletic play for him to make that dive and catch and pop up and sling it on over, which is a hard throw. You know, you're just the distance and the accuracy that you're working with, it's a difficult play to make, and he made it look easy from up here.
So Jesse Harrison ready to come home. First pitch gets in there for a called strike. A lot of extended work today for the junior pitcher, but he's done a nice job today. Only allowed the 1 run. That came last inning. But it's given Spanish Fork's offense a chance to get back in it. Child shows bunt and fouls it off.
Yeah, he's held his own from the top of the mountain. He's proven why he's going to be a big asset on top of the hill next year. You know, the kid's got a future in front of him with this Spanish Fork squad.
Jackie Sorensen, I'm looking down the roster here to see. There's not a lot of seniors on this group. Jackie Sorensen, Connor Ford, Xavier Aminette. I think of the only 3 listed on here. I could be missing one, and if I am, my apologies. But
and out of the 3, we're only really seeing Sorensen today.
So 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count on Child.
Oh, we talked earlier about that late season kind of pressure that you feel in getting some of these guys, younger guys, and getting them reps in this late stretch of the season. So you can see how well they do under that pressure once next year starts. That might be the wisdom in not playing some of these older guys. And to be honest, a lot of younger talent on this team too.
As that one's going to be lined into left field by Child down the left field line. The runner, Hughes, slides headfirst into third. Child into second with a double. And Springville's got a couple of runners in scoring position with nobody out.
Well, it's just a very different look from the last matchup between Spanish Fork and Springville, where it really came down to the wire. I don't know what outside the first inning, That honestly may be the difference for this game. There's just a really rocky start for Spanish Fork on the mound, and they've kind of figured things out since then. Harrison, he's actually been in this position before and came out of it virtually unscathed, so we'll see how he does here. But with 0 outs, it's going to be really, really tricky to put away 3.
Van Sickle will be the hitter. Spanish Fork will bring the infield in as there's some action brewing in the Spanish Fork bullpen here in the 6th. Definitely a position to get a strikeout if you're Harrison. Van Sickle stands in, swings at the pitch. It's going to get away, though, from Cloward. The throw home and he's safe. Harrison got the tag down, Coach, but I think he may have gotten the tag in the wrong spot.
I'm definitely with you. It looked like he tried to make the tag down to his arm instead of to his head or to his body, which it's just a smaller target that you're working with, and the arm was able to get under and to the bag in time. Oh, and we're just hearing from our producer that the ball was actually dropped. So
1 run across for Springville. It's now 6-1 Red Devils. Pitch coming home, and that one gets in there to Van Sickle for a strike, and the count evens up here, 1 ball and 1 strike. Caden Tingy in the on-deck circle. Harrison ready, comes home as one swung on and missed. Strike 2, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And I think they're going to tag the hitter, and I think the hitter's trying to say it's strike 3, and I think if you go back to the pitch that kind of got away from Cloward, I think the hitter may have swung at it. I think that's what Spanish Fork is saying, is that it's 2 strikes on the hitter before that one. Van Sickle's not moving anywhere. Even Caden Tingy, Coach, in the on-deck circle, took a couple of steps towards home plate.
Yeah, he seemed to think that Van Sickle was retired. I seem to think it. You seem to think it. And now they're going to have a discussion and hopefully confirm what we're thinking up here. But I think you're absolutely right. Before the play that kind of confused everything, I thought it was a 1-2 count.
We'll see. The 2 umpires will confer. And so with runners, Van Sickle's standing there. Everyone's kind of waiting around. The 2 umpires right now, you can see them talking in your screen. And it's going to be interesting. I don't know how they're going to overturn this at this level. It looks like they're going to say it's 2 strikes. And now a conversation going on the other side here with Spanish Fork. Spanish Fork, a heads-up play. Cloward tagged he quickly tagged Van Sickle in case it was, hey, the pitch got away from me, it wasn't strike 3. Quickly tagged Van Sickle before he could take off for first base. And now the discussion, and a big moment in the ballgame, Coach, because big difference here between 1 ball, 2 strikes, nobody out, versus 1 out and a new hitter at the plate.
Yeah, and they've already done some damage and got a runner on third, and it really does feel like a big call right here. And Spanish Fork's coach over there seems to be pretty adamant about it. Thorpe, we were talking about this just me and Andrew this last game that we were calling. It's kind of been a tough stretch for him the last little bit. You can never count him out. Like we talked about, he may just be going through some rebuilding years. That's really the way it seems. Is today he's only starting with 1 senior out there. 1 of 9, 1 of 10, and just to look at the outlook for this guy. I mean, he's got a bunch of young guys that are really starting to figure things out. Guys that he can put in tough positions like this. I mean, we talked about Harrison. There's Lamson, Duval, Matai Johnson, Dart, and Pintar, who's really young. There's a lot of guys who are going to make some great ground in the next few years here, as the umps are still trying to figure out exactly what happened.
And I don't know if they're going to really be able to overturn this, to be honest with you, as Van Sickle's going to head back to the box, and I'm assuming at the end of the day this is going to be 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Van Sickle's going to be at the plate. Now, in my mind, Coach, that should have been strike 3, but unfortunately, the 2 umpires, those are the ones that have to make that final determination.
And this is going to be big momentum for Springville, who, if they get a hit here, they're going to be able to, benefit from the call in Spanish Fork. If they're able to put him away on a strike here, it's going to feel really good for them.
Van Sickle swings and misses, strike 3, and there's 1 gone. And, Coach, the old saying, ball don't lie, right there may have come into play.
That's the sentiment that the fans seem to agree with right now, and I think it's just a little bit of confusion for the umps, and at the same time, the scoreboard also wasn't updated. They were still trying to get the run in for the inning, and so just a little bit of confusion, but at the end of the day, everything gets solved.
Caden Tingey back up through the middle into center field, and Springville will plate another run. It's 7-1 Red Devils. So that one just squeaks through the middle of the infield. And with 1 out, and the umpire's going over to the Springville dugout, I think, not wanting them to celebrate too much, as Tingey now has an RBI single. Here's Reed Deedy now, the center fielder.
Yeah, there's something to be said about celebrating when you hit a big run, but in this current situation with the score being 7-1, I think that's probably the right call, just to get them settled down a little. And,
it's one thing it's been interesting to see at different levels of baseball where they kind of take the celebration away almost.
Well, you notice everything starts in the pros and then slowly trickles its way down to, this level and even beyond.
It's in there for a called strike. It's 0-2 on Deedy. So what you're telling me then is replay is probably coming to high school baseball down the road.
I would not be surprised. They're going to have the automated umpire before you know it.
There you go. That will will be the up and coming thing as Deedy chops this one over to third. Foul ball. He'll stay alive. No balls and 2 strikes on Deedy. 1 gone in the top of the 6th inning.
Now, was that a bloop fly, or did that go into the ground first? I couldn't really tell from.
I think
there was a body, and obviously it went into the ground, or it would have been called an out. But to me, it just looked like he blooped it over there.
I think he hit it pretty much right off home plate type deal and just popped straight up. I think. Pitch on its way, stays away with the fastball. And it's 1-2 here on Deedy. Deedy came around to score a run back in the 5th. On deck's the cleanup hitter, Preston Hansen. He's got a pair of hits in the ball game for Springville. Pitch on its way, and Deedy sends this one over to third. A diving stab by Pintar. The throw to first is in time for the 2nd out of the inning. A nice play there from Pintar.
Yeah, we've seen pretty good things from our shortstops today. Shortstops and third base, that whole area has been covered really well. For Spanish Fork, it's just the same thing we mentioned earlier. Once they have their turn swing in, they're just going to have to find those pockets, but they're really going to have some work to do as they're down by 6 here. And that should be 2 outs on the inning if I have it right. I know our scoreboard says 1. Is that what you have?
I have 2 as well. First pitch in there for a called strike to Preston Hansen. So we have the scoreboard at the top. That's our graphic today. So there are 2 outs in the inning. Ready to go with the 0-1 pitch. Curveball on the outside corner. And it's 0-2. Running on at second base is Caden Tingey. The 0-2 pitch to Hansen on its way. On the outside corner for a ball. Dons thought they had strike 3. They were coming off the field. There'll be 1 ball and 2 strikes. Dons will have the middle part of their order coming up. It will be Johnson, McLean, and Dart. 5, 6, 7 due up in the 6th inning. Pitch on its way, and that one's lined right to second, and the inning is over. But Springville gets 2 runs, and they take a 7-1 lead here as we move to the bottom of the 7th inning. We'll take a moment to thank our sponsors for making this broadcast possible. We got Triple T Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, Lance Wilson, State Farm Insurance, Utah's legal team, Edwards Jones Financial Advisors, Mike Mendenhall, Tyler Mendenhall, the Spanish Fork Community Network Internet Team, MVP Sports, and Two Jacks Pizza. We thank them for making each and every broadcast possible here throughout our high school sports season. Our next broadcast comes to you on Friday afternoon, a 3:30 first pitch from Maple Mountain High School. It'll be Salem Hills and Maple Mountain. You can catch that game along with our replays and many of our other live shows on our YouTube page, youtube.com/SpanishFork17. Bottom of the 6th inning. What's the approach right now if you're the Spanish Fork hitters, Coach?
There's no other way to say it. They got to get something going. I don't know how you're going to do it. I mean, they're going through a stretch in the I mentioned earlier that they have a pretty strong batting order. They don't really have a dead stretch typically, but I mean, this next little stretch with Johnson and McLean, who haven't made it over to first today, they're really going to struggle. So I think if you can get some offense from these first 2 guys, they just need to get something, and they'll be able to build on that, right? As far as what form that's going to come in, only time will tell, but they have to get something. They have to get a snowball effect going here if they're going to have any chance at all.
So, Matai Johnson, Cade McLean, and Sammy Dart will be the hitters coming up. Sorry, Cody McLean, my apologies. As they'll be the hitters coming up. Spanish Fork has 6 outs to work with, and at this point of the ball game, they need 6 runs to tie. And coming back out will be starting pitcher Siderud to start the bottom of the 6th inning. So it'll be interesting to kind of see if.
Does that surprise you?
Leading off
to some degrees, it does. Just because they've had someone throwing.
Johnson.
However, with the way he's pitched, he's been settled in for most of the ball game. We'll see how long that leash is at this point. Here's Johnson from the right side, 0 for 2 in the ball game. Pitch on its way, fouled back. It's 0-1 on Matai Johnson. Don's in the all-white batting helmet. Springville in the all-red with blue caps. Pitch on its way. That one gets in there for a called strike. And it's 0-2, the count on Matai Johnson.
Yeah, we talked about this just a second ago. Johnson, McLean, and Dart, they're really going to have to find a way to flip the script because Johnson and McLean both went 0 for 2 on the day, and then Dart with the 1 walk.
Pitch on its way. Johnson chops that one through into center field for a base hit.
You think he heard me?
He'd never know. And so base hit for Johnson, and that will bring up Cody McLean.
Well, you talked about how long the leash is going to be, and obviously very short. They just need a fresh look from the mound here. And sometimes, the way it is with baseball, sometimes it's for the better, sometimes it's for the worse. But I also just talked about a second ago, Spanish Fork needs some momentum. It's the snowball effect. You get 1, you get 10, right? And so they're going to throw something to kind of disturb that snowball, to break it up a little bit and just give them a new look from the mound. And that's going to be number 3 is what I'm seeing, which is Mac Bigler. He's a senior.
So I was texting Katie. Do you want to know the name of Mom's doctor?
So Bigler will throw from the right side, so a right-hander in with nobody out, a runner on at first base. A big moment here for the Dons to try to get something back on that scoreboard. You don't want to have to get 6 back late.
I mean, it's already kind of late, but yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. To just have that pressure of, you know, if I'm out, there's only 2 or 1, or, you know, your options start to get pretty limited. So we'll see what Spanish Fork's able to come up with here, but, you know, Johnson, who went 0 for 2 on the day, is able to reach over there, and then McLean, same story for him, so he might be looking at this as an opportunity to say, hey, I didn't make it over earlier, but now that the pressure's on, we'll see if he's able to turn it up.
Sometimes you just never know, and you see a new pitcher too. Sometimes kind of changes your offense or your approach as a hitter. So we'll see how Spanish Fork adjusts. Bigler's finishes warm-up tosses. Nobody out here, bottom of the 6th inning. And a 7-1 game. Here is Cody McLean.
Now batting number 10, Cody McLean.
So McLean 0 for 2.
Pretty neutral stance there. I mean, a few games ago we saw him just absolutely crowding the plate, and there he's going to take a pretty normal step back. In Spanish Fork, you know, one thing that we saw earlier is they kept working towards that steal at second. I don't know if you make that this late in the game with outs just being absolute commodity.
If it's definitely high risk, high reward play this late, as the 1-0 pitch misses low for a ball, and it's 2-0. I don't know with a new pitcher. I don't know if I risk that until I've seen him, just what his delivery's like for the first few pitches anyway. 2-0 pitch to McLean, and that one comes inside and hits him. So Spanish Fork with a little sign of life here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 2 runners on, nobody out. Here's Sammy Dart.
So that's the first hit by pitch we've seen on from Springville.
Now batting number 6,
that's the
Sammy Dart.
6th of the day, but the first damage done by Springville. So
Dart 1 for 2, a line out and a walk. Or sorry, actually 0 for 1. The walk does not count as an official at bat. I have a walk, and then I have 6-4 because he was retired on the base path, so got looking at the wrong number there. And the first pitch on its way to Sammy Dart gets in there for a called strike, and it's 0-1. Jason Pintar on deck. The 9-hole hitter, then it would flip to the top of the lineup. Spanish Fork would love to get to the top of the order with some base runners. That one bounces, or a good block behind the plate by Hansen, and the count evens up 1-1. Bigler, it looks like maybe dropped the baseball out of his glove, so he'll walk over and pick it up. Runners.
Do you think he's a little shook right now after hitting McLean? I mean, you don't see guys drop the ball like that a lot.
2-0 pitch gets in there for a called strike.
Well, I say that, and then he delivers this cold pitch on the outside like that.
Sometimes I think you just get going too fast. You go to catch it, and you just kind of, maybe frustration, just kind of swipe at it.
Well, good count for him here.
So 2 balls and a strike to Dart. The pitch. Low inside, ball 3, and the count goes to 3-1 on Sammy Dart.
Well, they have it as 2-2. They have it evened up on the scoreboard, but up here we have it as 3-1. We'll
I guess we'll find out if there's
in just a second here.
We'll find out if there's a ball thrown, and Dart heads towards first base. The pitch on its way, and Dart's going to foul that one off. So now, nonetheless, it's now 2 strikes on Dart, I should say. Trig Cloward on deck. Bigler, the senior right-hander, on the mound. Ready to go from the stretch. Bigler winds and comes home, and Dart swings and misses, strike 3. So Dart down on strikes, and there's 1 gone here in the 6th. And that will bring up Trig Cloward. First strikeout for Bigler.
14, Trig Cloward.
And Cloward stands in. 0 for 2 for Cloward. A ground out. Or sorry, 2 ground outs. And ready to go with the first pitch on its way. Cloward takes that one low, and it's 1-0 the count on Cloward. Cloward hitting in the 8th spot. The Dons looking to try to break through, trailing in this one 7-1 here in the 6th. Looking ahead to the 7th. Dons looking to try to see if they can put themselves in a position to come back and win this one. A pitch stays high. And it's 2-0 on Cloward. Base runners are important here for the Dons. Bigler comes in, the pitch low, ball 3, and it's 3-0 here on Cloward.
Well, we mentioned just a second ago before this out, they needed 6 scores to tie it up, and they needed, and they had 6 outs to work with. So they're on a pretty good pace here with 2 base runners out there. I'm sure there's a direct equation that figures out exactly what you need, but to me it seems like they're kind of starting to take the momentum that they need.
Here's the pitch on its way, and that one gets in there for a called strike. I'm pretty sure Cloward there just taking all the way. 3 balls and a strike. Fastball count here if you're Cloward. Bigler comes in. The pitch is going to be swung on, grounded to third. They get the out at first. The turn is in time for an inning-ending double play. So Spanish Fork had an opportunity. We'll see what they do in the 7th. Springville leading this one 7-1. You're watching high school baseball at Spanish Fork 17.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
Let me check out town, okay?
We got this. We got this.
Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
Hi, welcome to Two Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
New pitcher on for Spanish Fork to start the 7th inning. It's going to be number 31. That is Rhett Wahlberger, a junior. Corner infielder and right-handed pitcher will take over on the hill. And boy, Coach, you can't really say anything that's not impressive today about the start of Jesse Harrison. He just pitched a great game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, Harrison, he's a junior. You know, he's got a whole year ahead of him to continue to prove himself and what he's worth to this squad. I think he's already done it here because he stepped in a really difficult situation following up Lamson, who really struggled from the mound early on, and he was able to hold them to just a couple runs scored after that point. We talked about this earlier. He went through a stretch there where it was just strikeout, 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 back-to-back. I think he finished the day. I got 7. Yeah, it looks like he wrapped up the day with, well, I'm going to get an exact count here.
I have him with 9, Coach, but...
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I was just trying to get a quick guesstimate, but now I'm looking back through. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, quite an impressive day. Like we said, he had the couple runs scored against him, but when you're put in a really difficult situation like that, and just to keep Spanish Fork within striking distance from that point on forward, it says a lot about what you're going to be able to do for this team.
So Kaysen Torres to lead it off. It will be Torres, Red, and Oki, I believe, coming up here in the 7th inning, scheduled to hit, as Wahlberger delivers his first pitch low for a ball, 1-0. Torres playing first base for Springville today as we play in the top of the 7th inning. Pitch misses low and away, ball 2. Ryan Pickens alongside Coach T with you here on just a beautiful sunshine-filled afternoon for high school baseball. The 2-0 pitch gets in there, called strike, and it's 2-1 on Torres.
Do you feel like that kind of just took the air out of Spanish Fork's tires to have 2 runners on base, and then for the double play to be made, it really just seemed a little defeating at that point?
2-1 pitch misses low, ball 3. I think when you're kind of building that rally, you have a couple of base runners on. Spanish Fork hasn't had a lot of base runners today, and when you get a play like that, and I mean, as the 3-1 pitch gets in there. You have to credit Springville. That's a nice turn to go around the horn like that, but yeah, I mean, I think it can be a little deflating if you're Spanish Fork with the bats. You're rallying and then boom, it's over. Like, just kind of puts you in a tight spot. Dons will need at least 6 runs in the home half of the inning to tie this ball game as Torres lines this one into left center field for a base hit, and he's on to lead off the 7th inning for Springville.
I love what you said there. At least 6 runs to tie it up if no further damage is done by Springville here. And Springville just seems to have everything going their way right now as they're able to advance one over onto first there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they're able to stack a couple more on here to kind of seal the deal.
Hugh Red stands in, wearing number 17. First pitch gets in there for a called strike. Red is 6-foot junior, listed as a infielder and right-handed pitcher. Springville team kind of the polar opposite of what Spanish Fork is. They have a lot of upperclassmen, a lot of juniors, and a lot of seniors playing for this Red Devil squad. And there's a bouncer that goes foul down the third baseline.
Yeah, only time will tell. I don't want to speak years in advance, but this could be an absolutely different matchup next year. Some of these kids start to mature into their throwing arms and their hitting eye and start to really figure it out on this Spanish Fork squad, as Springville's going to see a lot of their heavy hitters here leave them.
Pitch on its way. The 0-2 misses high and away, and it's 1-2 the count now on Hugh Red. Xander Oki on deck for the Red Devils. Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that one's going to be fouled away. We'll do it again. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So just to give you an exact idea, I just got the count here. Spanish Fork is working with 3 seniors. Springville on the other side of that coin has 14. So it's, I mean, you can kind of see that dynamic play out here, and I don't want to speak for Springville. They might have, they definitely have good things in the future. We see some of their younger classmen making big moves today, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go kind of into that phase that Spanish Fork's in now and have to rebuild a little bit after this year.
Breaking ball stays high, and the count moves to 2-2. Yeah, and that's the thing that's tough, especially with high school sports. You only have the 4 years, you move on, and you're kind of, when you're at the high school level, you're playing with who lives in your district and how you can develop talent, as that one is going to be swung on and missed. Strike 3, stealing second base will be Torres, and there's 1 gone. That brings up Xander Oki.
Xander Oki.
So Oki at the plate has walked twice, grounded out, standing in from the left side of the plate. Wahlberger will time called, and Cloward wants to go have a word. 1 out, runner on at second base for Springville. Red Devils leading this one 7-1. 4 runs in the first. They added a run in the 5th and then 2 in the 6th to kind of pull away here from Spanish Fork. The Dons scored their only run back in the 3rd.
I think a huge difference today has been the pitching, because as we mentioned, these 2 squads met up just a couple of days ago and things looked absolutely different. But on top of that, Spanish Fork kind of had their offense going a little bit there, and like I said, only fell by 1 point after all the dust settled.
Xander Oki swings through that one there. It's no balls and a strike. 1 out here in the top of the 7th inning. Scheduled to play 7 tonight. Pitch swung on, fouled back to the screen. And it's 1-2.
I just realized I just said 1 point, which is like a terrible thing to say in baseball. You'll have to forgive me. I'm so used to basketball at this point after coaching all season. But 1 run. As long as everyone at home knew what I meant, I feel like there's just something about saying point in baseball. It just doesn't jive, does it?
Ready to go right here, the pitch. Swung out and missed. Strike 3. So Wahlberger back-to-back strikeouts. And I'm sure people at home will forgive you, Coach.
Yeah, we saw this just a little bit ago from Harrison. He started red hot, had a bunch of strikeouts early on, and Wahlberger kind of coming in with that fresh arm and giving him a similar look, and it'll be up to Spanish Fork's offense. I mean, they it's kind of wish at this point, but we'll see if they're able to churn out seven runs to come out on top of this one without it going to extra innings.
Brigham Ovard, number 21, is going to grab a bat and hit for the Red Devils. It was scheduled to be Ludvigsen. And the first pitch coming home, swung on and missed, strike one. Coach, you mentioned trying to jumpstart that Spanish Fork offense. And that's not a direct quote, so I apologize there. But it's going to be Pintar, Duvall, and Nixon Warren, 9, 1, and 2 coming up.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
not
Dogs.
a bad spot in the order to do it. If they're going to do it, it has to be there.
As Ovard pops this one high up, coming over. Wahlberger's going to take it himself. He makes the catch, and the inning is over. So the last chance for the Dons, trailing 7-1. They need 6 to tie. They need 7 to walk off and win. We'll see here momentarily what they can do, but let's thank our sponsors one final time here this afternoon from the ballpark.
We'd like to thank the Utah Legal Team, attorneys at law, Lance Wilson State Farm, Triple T, Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, and Electrical, Edward Jones, that's Mike Mendenhall and Tyler Mendenhall, MVP Sports, Two Jacks Pizza, as well as our very own Spanish Fork Community Network. A huge shout out to all the sponsors who make this broadcast possible. And for those of you who are wondering what happened in the early innings and didn't have the chance to see it, we just invite you to go ahead and check us out on youtube.com/Spanish Fork 17, where you can see not only this game, but all of the last games. It's pretty much a historical archive of all the big games here in Spanish Fork over the last couple of years. As Spanish Fork is looking to fight their way back into this one here, down 6 runs. What do you think it's going to take?
Base runners, and more base runners. I mean, that's been the tough part today, Coach, for Spanish Fork, is they've had a tough time sustaining multiple base runners, but you never know. That's the great thing about baseball. All it takes is to get one on base, and they say hitting's contagious. So we'll see what Spanish Fork can do as Jason Pintar stands in. He's got one of the hits today for the Dons. That was a single back in the third. So Pintar, Duvall, and Warren coming up, 9, 1, and 2.
We've talked about this before, just to harp on it one more time. I mean, Pintar, just being a freshman, what is in store for this Spanish Fork team? They're going to be really, really good in the years to come, it seems like.
Mac Bigler delivers ball 1 low. The pinch hitter in the bottom of the inning for Springville, Brigham Ovard, he has stayed in the game. He's in left field currently, as that one gets in there for a called strike to Pintar, and it evens the count up a 1-1. Bigler, well, he's ready to go again. Gets the ball, winds and deals, and that one inside, twisting out of the way is Pintar, and the count moves to 2-2. Right now, any way you could get a base runner if you're the Dons, it would be helpful. I'm sorry, I think it's 2-1. That one misses high ball 3. 3-1 the count here on Pintar. You'll take a walk, you'll take a base hit, you'll take maybe a guy getting hit. At this point, you just need base runners if you're the Dons.
Yeah, we did see McLean get hit just a second ago, but
3-1 pitch. Pintar takes a big cut and fouls it off.
I'm sure he'd rather get the hit.
I think most players would rather get a hit than not, but hey, you never know. 3 balls and 2 strikes the count here on Pintar. The pitch coming home, and Pintar grounds this one to second. Tingy's got it. He'll throw to first, and there's 1 gone in the 7th.
Well, we've talked about all game long how Spanish Fork, so they've gotten good chunks of so many of these hits. They just have been putting it right to where guys are standing. So that might be the next phase, and they're leveling up. And with a lot of these guys, they have time to do it. It's not like Springville with 14 seniors. They're going to be able to turn around and hopefully make some big leaps in the offseason. But not only that, they got so much of, this season, including their playoff play ahead of them.
Duvall grounds this one, and it's going to, I believe, kick off the glove and go into left field. So Boston Duvall is on his second hit of the ball game. And with 1 out, that will bring up Nixon Warren.
This is really the part in the order that they're going to have to get something going. I mean, they start off this order so strong with Duvall, Warren, Sorensen, and Morley. Morley, who's had a pretty good day for himself, a 1-1-1.
First pitch in there called strike to Nixon Warren, who's walked, popped out, and reached on an error. And when I mean reached on an error, I mean an error in my judgment. Not necessarily whoever is in charge of the official stats for this one. That one's lined down the left field line, but it's going to be foul at the end of the day. Had long strike there for Nixon Warren. He was seeing extra bases on that one. The Dons, I think, looking for their first extra base hit of the ball game. Springville, I think, has the only one. It was a double earlier in the contest. For the most part, Coach, we have seen a lot of station-to-station base hit, maybe a first to third on a single, but we haven't seen a lot of extra base hits today.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, we talked early on about how consistency is going to be such a big thing for Spanish Fork to find their way back into this game, and where they haven't found it, Spanish Fork on the offensive side has absolutely found that consistency and just keeps chipping away and digging that hole deeper and deeper for Spanish Fork to try and climb out of.
Time called. Nixon will step out of the box. Now steps back in. Nixon Warren at the plate. The pitch on its way. There's a ground ball. Liner to second. Tingy throws to first. Almost doubled off the runner. Instead, the ball's going to get into the Dons' dugout, and that will, because it went out of play, Boston Duvall will go to second base, but the Dons are down to their final out. Here's Jackie Sorensen. And that is just kind of sums up Spanish Fork's offensive day, Coach. That ball's hit hard, just right at somebody.
Yeah, and it's the same spot that, who was that just a second ago? That same spot that Pintar found. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's the tail of the tape today. They've been swinging for the fences and just instead are swinging right at where people happen to be standing.
Sorensen 1 for 3, a pair of strikeouts to go along with a base hit. That single came back in the third inning and actually brought home, I believe, Nixon Warren for the Dons' only run. Pitch low for a ball. 7-1 lead here for Springville. 2 outs, bottom of the 7th inning. From the stretch, Bigler checks the runner. Throws home, and Sorensen goes after a pitch out of the zone, fouls it off, and the Dons, I believe, now are going to be down to their final strike, Coach. And sorry, no, that's strike one. 2 balls and a strike to count.
Well, down to their final batter. Let's say that if they do strike out here.
Bigler comes in. That one gets in there. Strike 2. Now they're down to their final strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Sorensen. Stay tuned. We'll have our post-game show here on Spanish Fork 17. We'll have including our MVP Sports, MVP of the game. Bigler checks the runner at second. The pitch on its way, popped up by Sorensen into shallow right field. Tingy, the second baseman, has it, and the ball game is over. And Springville will come away with a 7-1 win over Spanish Fork. The Dons will unfortunately take a tough, hard-fought loss today. They played better than probably that scoreboard indicates, but we'll have more for you after a quick break. We come back, we'll have our final thoughts and our MVP Sports MVP of the game. You're watching high school baseball on Spanish Fork 17.
MVP Sports knows how you roll. You name the sport and we've got you covered. MVP Sports has all the gear you need to perform at your best. Come see our new location just off 900 North Main Street. You are the MVP at MVP Sports.
Hi, I'm Mike McKell.
I'm Shani Hunter, and we're attorneys at Utah Legal Team.
Utah Legal Team was voted one of the state's top personal injury law firms.
We deliver bigger payouts and faster results.
If you've been injured in a car accident, we can help. Call us for a free consultation.
Dad, we got this.
We got this.
Come check out town, okay?
We got this. We got this.
Life is for living.
We got this.
Let's partner for all of it. Edward Jones.
The best time to check your furnace is before it fails, and you can rely on Triple T to do the job right. Our technicians are trained every year so you can sleep better at night, knowing your furnace is safe to operate. Call Triple T at 798-7711 to schedule your tune-up today.
You know who you are. You embrace the sounds of that dial-up modem, the door to the internet. But that was so slow, and you were all in with the cable modem and its zippy megabit speeds. But then the buffering started. Now, fiber is here. SFCN fiber is in your neighborhood, just steps away from your door. It's not the future, it's the now. No upgrade fees, no increase in your rates. So do it for the children, do it for yourselves. End the buffering, embrace the fiber.
The State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you create an affordable price just for you.
Contact local agent Lance Wilson for your personal price plan today.
Hi, welcome to Two Jack's Pizza.
For the best pizza you'll ever taste and our world-famous cheese sticks, come to Two Jack's Pizza on Main Street in Spanish Fork, or call us for a quick delivery. Are you hungry yet?
7-1 your final here at Nelson Field. Ryan Pickens and Coach T. The Red Devils come out on top, Coach, 7-1. It was really one of those games. If you're Spanish Fork, you hit the ball hard, but you just hit it right at people, unfortunately.
There's no doubt about it. And, not enough can be said for this Springville offense. They really found a way to just keep their rhythm going throughout the entire game. Obviously finding the most success in the first inning up against Lamson, who kind of struggled a bit off the bat. And then they got Harrison in to calm things down a little. But even so, with Harrison pitching the way that he did, which he really got to do the kid credit. He really did a great job. Springville just kept chipping away at that and just kept extending that lead.
With the way Harrison pitched, I mean, he comes in just a tough situation. Bases loaded. There's, I think, 1 out in the first inning. 4 runs have already come across. Some people might say, Coach, kind of the pressure's off. Hey, just go out there and find a way to get outs. He not just got outs, he ended up with 9 strikeouts.
Yeah, there's no doubt about what he did for this Spanish Fork squad. I think, you take away that first inning, which obviously you can't do, and it's a very different game. But like you said, he has the 9 strikeouts, and outside of that, Springville just able to score 3 runs against him. So an extremely impressive day for Harrison.
Yeah, he is our MVP Sports, MVP of the game, and kind of like you talked about, the runs late in the game kind of pushed the game out of reach if you're Spanish Fork. But when you look at just giving the offense for the Dons, Coach, a chance to get back in it, that's exactly what they needed, was Harrison's performance on the mound today.
So after all is said and done, Spanish Fork, they're going to drop to 4-6 in region play, while Springville, on the other hand, improves to 7-3. Although in rankings, they're very close to each other. We talked about this earlier. The RPI stays really close. Spanish Fork before the game ranked 51 in the state RPIs, and Springville ranked 46. So obviously, it's still pretty closely tied up in those RPI rankings. We talked about this as well. Springville, they have a really tough stretch of the season ahead of them, where Spanish Fork, they get some games that you're hoping they can come out on top of with Orem and Tempio.
Yeah, it'll be a crucial week for Spanish Fork for sure. They're trying to kind of make one last push in those RPI rankings before the state playoffs begin. It's been a fun one today. Springville comes out on top 7-1 over Spanish Fork. Our next broadcast will come up on Friday afternoon, a 3:30 first pitch from Maple Mountain High School, Salem Hills, and the Golden Eagles of Maple Mountain. It should be a fun one for sure. We want to remind you can catch replays of this game and our many other broadcasts on our YouTube page, youtube.com/SpanishFork17. For my partner, Coach T, and our entire SFCN sports team, I'm Ryan Pickens saying so long from Nelson Field, where today Springville tops Spanish Fork 7-1. You've been watching high school baseball on Spanish Fork 17.
Cut it.